Miss Arthur from Pacific Forage. Here in our last plot, our last video of our plots this season. This is what we've always termed our sumac plot. This is at Byfield Farms. Byfield works with us promoting not only corn seed, but they also obviously are custom operators, and we really enjoy our partnership with them. So we wanted to come in again. We could not have our barbecues because of that. We're putting on these videos so people have the opportunity, if they so desire, to go through and see what the plot looked like this year. So I start from lowest heat unit to highest on the products that we sell. So Pride 1017 RR is our first one. Again, when you see EDF on a Pride, that references sort of it's a reference to sort of digestible fiber. EDF usually states that we've got a lot of leaf development on the corn. You're going to see quite a bit of leaf above the cob on a plant like this. There's going to be a lot of fodder to go with grain. Now our 1017 is about a 2150, 2175. This is a low heat unit product. You will see behind me that it is done. And normally it would have been off well before now if you were growing something this low a heat unit. What we normally see with it is a lot of height for a low heat unit. We see a flint dent cob often on it, so it will dimple and then harden up. Okay, you see a great grain production again on this low heat unit, but what's unique about it is that it has this high stand and big leaf development with it, so you get quite a bit of tonnage for this product. Being the low heat unit is, you can put it somewhere where you've got to get first in and first off, but still expect a lot of product. Number 2 in our sumac plot is Thunder 6875 VT2P. So again, quickly on that suffix, VT2P for Thunder, they utilize the Monsanto traits. So VT2P, VT Double Pro references that there is a Roundup Ready trait, you can use your Roundup, and a corn borer trait. In British Columbia we don't have corn borer yet, let's all knock wood and hope that maintains, but you have both of those here. 6875 is a 2100 heat unit. You'll see behind me a decent height, not looking at too tall for a lower heat unit here, but actually a decent height for it. Some nice leaf there. Again, this plot, we are now in October, so this plot's up a long time for a low heat unit product. What we like about this one a lot is the cob. We have a full dent finish, so it's a quick dry down, and we've got nice grain set, nice kernel set, good depth of kernel and small core. So a lot of grain in this product, nice feed value to it. Again, being a low heat unit, an early in, early off, great option for those who need it. Pride 4514RR. This is number 3 in our sumac plot. 4514 is a product that is a little newer to me, and what I've noted in the other plots, this is the last plot we've been in this season, is its grain production looks pretty impressive to me. Nice stand on it, not huge on leaf base, but a good stand, nice stalk to it, good placement. You'll note behind me things might look a little bit broken up. There is a pivot that goes through this plot, and unfortunately it does run a line right here. But I'm really liking this full dent. It's listed as about a 2250. I'm not sure, we might be a little lower than that. We'll see once tests come through, but very nice cob size. Again, nice grain, depth of kernel. I'm very interested to see what this will do on tonnage and feed value in this lower heat unit area. Thunder 6977 VT2P, again, Roundup and corn borer. RIB, Refuge in the Bag. When you have a product that has a corn borer trait, and some of the other traits as well, but a corn borer trait in this situation, you have to have some of the product not traited, and this is to try and stop resistance being developed. And rather than having you put a border that's not traited or something to ensure that some of the plants you plant do not have the traited product to help with resistance, they have put that non-traited, for corn borer only, non-traited product in the bag. So there's a percentage of the seed that doesn't have the corn borer trait all in there. And so instead of it calling a refuge apron around your field or whatever, it's refuge in the bag. Your refuge seed is all the way through the field and you don't have to worry about it. So RIB, refuge in the bag. 6977, totally new to me. Not new to Thunder, but new to me. This is a grain corn back in the prairies. I wanted to take a look at it, see how it would do here. So got my hands on it this season. Like the height on it. I see a grain stand to it, not super heavy on leaf, but nice leaf development. Nice stand on the stalk. This is about a, well, 2200 max heat unit. Like the cob on it, I expect this is probably a little longer, more developed cob if it wasn't the cool, wet, early season that we had. Thunder has cobs that are longer, thinner, but with nice kernel depth to them. They don't make fat cobs so much as sort of a long, full cob. I like the look of the core. I like the look of the kernel. We'll see how she finishes off. I'll probably compare her against something like a Thunder 4578. Thunder 4076RR, again, a new one to me. Is a product I wanted to check out also for a low heat unit silage. 2175 heat unit is my feeling on it. Looking at the height of it, we've got more height here, a bit more cob development, or a bit more leaf development, excuse me. A little bit of height on the cob on the plant. Long cob, unique looking cob. Long cob to it, larger kernel, full dent. Which I like. So we aren't seeing a whole bunch of grain on a fat cob. We're seeing big grain on sort of a longer cob. So we'll get our grain that way. I'm quite interested also to see what its moisture is actually going to be like and what its digestibility will be. So this is one that I'm sort of curious how its feed value numbers will look throughout. But a nice, definitely nice height to it. Should be a lot of tons here. Horizon Seeds. Horizon's a company out of Ontario. It's a Canadian company. I was interested in looking at them for some of their rootworm protected product, as well as the fact that they were moving west, working with some lower heat unit products, and I wanted to take a look at their silage lines, which they've worked fairly hard at developing. So what we have to know about Horizon off the top is they do not have Monsanto traits. You're not ever going to see an RR or a VT2P or a G2 or G3 or anything like that we see with our other product lines. You'll see things related to Agrisure. So this is a Syngenta line, and Agrisure, their suffixes are quite different. So this is a Viptera product, 3110. So what that means is it has a glyphosate tolerant gene, so we can't use Roundup there because Roundup is traded to Monsanto and now Bayer. So it is a glyphosate tolerant, so you can use your Roundup on it. It does have a corn borer trait on it. It also has some cutworm and an army worm on it. And so we'll just have to, we don't have all of those issues, but the suffixes are a little different. Just note that anything we're selling to you, unless you're asking for conventional, you can use Roundup on it. Okay, 1685. These are all new products to me, so here's what I'm seeing so far in the plots that I'm looking at. We've got some very good height, real leaf production on these Horizons, okay? They're interested in creating silage for you. They've got a good amount of leaf above the cob, nice stands to them, but their cobs are, it's about grain in a shorter, fatter cob, more rounds to it. Good dry down to it. This has a dent finish on it, and what will be interesting to me is not only seeing tonnage with this new lineup, but also what its digestibility and feed value are, as it's a silage focused product. Thunder 4578RR. This Thunder product, as well as one other one, 4126, they're sort of the backbone of the Thunder line and the lower heat units that we sell here. This is a 2200 heat unit. One of the reasons this is a successful corn is because of its spring vigor. Boy, did we need spring vigor this year, right? We had cool, we had wet, we had early plantings, we had plantings that we thought were early enough and maybe weren't because things didn't come up, then they had to stand around. This one and 4126, they do push through. So you see behind me height, you see leaf production, a full dent cob, so a nice quicker finish to it, a lot of grain there to work with. Nice placement, the cob, nice placement on the plant, not too high, not too low, and a good stalk to it. So this year, more than anything, we really had to look at spring vigor and what came through, and this one still did. Horizon seeds, so this is number 2 in this sumac plot. Horizon 675. Let's look again here at our AgriSure 3010. On that one, I'm learning just as you are, glyphosate tolerant, corn borer tolerant, and has the ability to spray Liberty Link on it. I believe those are the 3 on it. So 675 I've had in a number of the plots because Horizon has sort of said this is their workhorse. As I referenced 4578 and 4126, this is the one they reference. So looking at this plot, may not have the height of some of the products later on here, but good height, nice leaf development. On the Horizons, I note wide leaf, okay, like a good wide leaf. So good fodder there. Take a look at the stalks. Good stalk on this plant, it's kind of across the board in most of the plots. And here's your difference with the Thunder is they don't have sort of a long cob on these Horizons. They're fat cobs. But what's nice here is still good depth of kernel, small core. We got 18 rounds here. I had 20 or 22 on Vancouver Island. The potential for feed and feed value here is very, very good. And I'm very, very interested to see what we're going to do on feed value. In 2 of the last trials, it's topped in one and been second in the other on green tons. We'll see where things go once moisture is taken into consideration. Thunder 4126RR, 2250 heat unit here. Little lower than that Horizon 675. Just again another workhorse in this heat unit that works well within this valley on Vancouver Island, even in the interior. Good height to it, nice leaf to it. I would say 4126 and 4578 bat back and forth. Sometimes one wins in a season, sometimes the other. This one might be a winner this season. We'll see. Very good height to it, very good leaf. Nice cob placement here in this plot. This is a flint dent finish though, where the 4578 is a full dent. You get a dimpling, and then again, goes hard, goes flinty hard on us. Good processor on it, no worries whatsoever. Again, a long Thunder cob, so we've got deep kernel, small core, and sort of your grain develops this way as opposed to sort of fat wise. So yeah, great numbers usually come out on this from a feed value standpoint. We'll see which one wins this year between these 3 low heat units on green tons and dry matter. Pixseed 2563 GSX. With that suffix, what we're looking at, you can spray with Roundup. There's some above ground insect coverage. The big one for me though, and the reason I've got this in the plot and I'm taking a look at it, is it also has a rootworm trait. And we have rootworm beetles in this field, and we haven't had too much disruption with them this season. There's a few things we've seen this season, and we will report on what's coming back from Tracy with the Ministry of Ag on the insect issues this year, but they are here, and so I'm wanting to take a look at our rootworms products as well. So what I see in this plant, again, nice height, nice leaf for this 2350 range. Very nice cob development on this plant. Full dent, as you can see, nice grain, small core. So all the right things from a cob standpoint. Good height, nice fodder there. We'll take a look at what our dry down's like at a 2350 and what the feed value is on it. But again, a good rootworm option that we were wanting to put in our trial. Pride 4646 G2. For Pride, that suffix G2 means it's Roundup ready traded and it has corn borer, which again, we don't have the issue with, but it has those 2. And you see that refuge in the bag for the corn borer trait. So 4646, she doesn't look as stellar up front on this plot as I think she deserves this season. I've seen her in a couple other plots, and I like this corn. I like her dry down. I like the full dent on the cob. I like the grain. We got 18 rows in this plot. I like the feed value numbers. I like the digestibility. So this is a good corn. She is not as showy. It's a 2350. She's not as showy as a couple of the higher heat unit products. She does not ton out as much, that is true. But for the heat unit that she's in, and if you're sort of going to compare her against some of the ones that I've just come through, she has some real potential. And so she's worth taking a look at when the yield results come out. Pride 4939G2. This product actually sells really well as a grain corn in the prairies, does well that way. Here, as you can see behind me, good height to it, nice leaf, not the full-bodied leaf that we'll see in some of the later heat unit products that are more silage based on the Pride line, but a really nice plant. Again, we see the dent to it, and again, look at this, 20 rows here of grain, very nice, good depth. Nice product. If you compare it in the 4646, sometimes that 4646 will win out a little bit either on the dry down or the feed value, or vice versa. These two kind of go back and forth. This year is looking very, very good. I think it dealt with the cool quite effectively, but you do have to be able to reach dry down for this to really, for you to get your money's worth out of it. If it doesn't reach dry down, you don't get the value out of it that you're hoping for. I know that can be said for a lot of corn, but this one, you really know it has to finish. Horizon Seeds 2536, and it's a Duracade, AgriSure Duracade. So quickly on that means glyphosate tolerant, you can spray your Roundup. Has a corn borer trait. It has a cutworm trait, 2 cutworm traits, I believe. It has a fall armyworm trait. That's the type of armyworm they had up in the interior, not the true armyworm that we had down here. And a Liberty Link. I believe those are all on there, as well as, and the big thing for me was the rootworm trait. Okay, so this is another rootworm traded product. Now, I've got this into a number of fields to take a look at this season, but what I'm seeing here in the plot, great leaf on it, nice stand, good stalk to it, and what seems to be becoming obvious with the Horizon, sort of a fatter, wider cob with good grain on rows. So we've got, I think, 16 here. I believe we can go 16 to 20 on development. This is a bit of a higher heat unit though, okay? We're into sort of our 2450 heat unit range. So again, we need it to finish for us, but it absolutely does have the trait package on it to keep those bugs at bay and not causing your plant to fall over. Pride 1027RR. There's that EDF again. We're talking about digestible fiber, which means big leaf to it. Now, for those of you who know Pride, you might know the 1047. That's the big corn I call sexy corn because it's so tall, big showy leaf. Well, if you can believe it, this one, they're trying to see if they can even get taller. So this is lower heat unit. We're more in a 2350 range on heat unit here. Same sort of height, same sort of big leaf development, a lot of leaf over the cob, good stand to it. We're looking at a similar sort of flint dent cob, dimples and then dents up. Same thing, small corn, deep kernel, but you know, it's about how long this cob is and how much grain we can put on it that way. I know nothing about it with regards to yield or feed value really at this point. I know it topped one of the trials on green tons so far. We'll check with moisture where that goes. It's sort of neck and neck in with the 1047. If it fits that bill, you do have an option then of not having necessarily to have such a high heat unit as a 2450 with that 1047. This could be an option for you where you're still getting those tons. Pride 4705 HMRR, basically Roundup Ready traded. Same sort of idea with the other products coming in. 4705's been around a long time, so the 1047s, the 1037s, the 1027s, they're all sort of, they all came to the party later. 4705 was kind of a flagship, can do anything, anywhere, get the job done sort of product. It doesn't stand up on yield to those new fancier ones, but its feed value is really consistently good. And interestingly, on tougher years with regards to moisture, it does pretty well. Doesn't do as strong in the heat, but in cooler, wet situations, she looks great. She's placed her cob well. She's got a good stand. She has her natural good leaf. The cob, very similar, same thing. Dimples and then dents, nice small core, good development of kernel, but the feed value usually is better on this. So on this season, her yield to feed value ratio is probably going to be higher than some of these showier items. You just, in the last 4 sunny seasons, she hasn't been maybe at the top of her game, but never one to discount. Here we've got Horizon 3247. This is another AgriShirt Duracade. So again, this has that rootworm gene on it. I put it in to take a look at it, but this is a high heat unit product. This is in the 2700 range. So this sort of isn't a norm or one that I would be able to really promote everywhere, but certain pockets it could work in. And I just, again, wanting to get to know some of these horizons. So what are we seeing on the horizon? Tall, showy corn, big leaf, nice placement of the cob for such a high heat unit. Good stalk development. I mean, there's a lot of product here, but at this heat unit, I'm denting. Okay, I'm starting to dent here, but I'm not dried down, and we are the beginning of October. So, but again, what are we noting? Yes, lots of kernel there. Okay, so we're high grain development on these horizons, but here with some real showy plant to it as well, and that rootworm option. But if it's not able to dry down, it's not where we go. So this was more one for me to take a look at and see where, how it would produce. Pride 1047 Roundup Ready. So this would normally be at 2450, kind of the end of where we're looking at for the valley, for sort of Surrey Delta, maybe the island. The interior can go a little higher, but honestly, with a producer like this, sometimes you wonder if it's necessary. This product is high yielding, big leaf, tall, sort of a long, strong cob, small core, big depth of kernel, a lot of product there. It is a flint dent, so it does have to be able to dry down and finish. Normally tops on yield, not just within its heat unit, even above it. If it doesn't finish, you're not going to get your starch numbers, so just because it's tall and sexy doesn't mean it's going to work if all you can grow is a 2200, so you have to be mindful on the heat unit range. Really good producer. Let's remember too, when we're looking at corn drying down, that it's not about it dying from the bottom up, it's about it drying in from the outside of the leaf to the center, from the top down. I know a lot of farmers were affected by some real drying out issues this season after all that wet. We might have lacked some nutrient, and then we hit some real heat. So just remember, on dry down, we're looking at the body of the plant above, not just it dying from the bottom. And if you don't crack this open and cut open some of these kernels, you're not really going to know if she's finished. Horizon Seed, last one of the bunch here, 877 3000 GT. It has a glyphosate tolerant gene on it, but it also has a rootworm gene on it, interestingly. So I threw it in because of that, but again, this is a higher heat unit, 2750 heat unit. And so again, just me trying to get my feet wet with these horizons and take a look at them. What do we see? Tall, big leaf behind me, mid-set cob, full denting cob. Right now though, because of that heat unit, just starting to dent. A lot of grain potential. There'd be more grain potential, I know, if we were in a longer season situation. This would be more of a sort of a hotter season situation. In the last number of years, if we'd had it here, we probably would see a little more drying down. On this season that we had in the slower start, we're probably not seeing what it could be. But again, just sort of getting my feet wet with them and trying out these rootworm options. So at the back end of our plot, what we've done here, and we also had something in the Delta plot, and we had a couple we looked at in one of the other plots as well. We've put up some experimentals. So sometimes with some of the companies, they give us product that they'd like us just to take a quick look at and come back with the information to them, and they utilize it in deciding whether they're going to move forward with the product line or how that product line works in different areas, and if they'll market it in this province or that province, etc. We have a Pixseed, a lower heat unit Pixseed. We've got a couple Prides. There's another couple in the background here. And so we don't sort of mark them out and say, hey, look at this, because they're new. We don't have experience with them. The companies don't have that much experience with them usually, but they do want to get some field exposure. We will take them off. We will weigh them. We will take samples. All of that information goes back to the various companies, and they utilize it. And it could mean in a few years they then have a name and they're in, or you never hear from them again. But we do like the opportunity to be able to grow some of this product and know that what it does out here does have an effect on what makes it to the market.